Right away, I noticed there was just something really different about Emily's family. They just had this peace in their house that I could just feel the minute I walked in. They had stress and they had problems in their lives, but they just had a different way of handling it. I don't remember exactly how it started, but I slowly started skipping meals. And when I would skip a meal, I would be hungry. And for some reason, thinking about being hungry was easier than thinking about the problems in my life. It started getting more and more intense until it felt like I was trapped in a tornado, and the tornado was spinning around me and I couldn't get out. I had friends who would ask me, what's going on? Are you okay? And I would kind of blow it off and say, I'm fine. But deep down inside, I knew I was not okay. I was in middle school, and middle school is hard for a lot of people. In my middle school, I was only one of 2 Jewish kids. Being Jewish was a huge thing that made me different, and I started to resent that difference. In high school, I really poured myself into figure skating. It was a huge stress reliever for me. When I was on the ice, I could pour out my feelings and my emotions, and it just grounded me. But slowly, skating stopped being able to be enough for me. My brother has cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair to get around. One day, out of the blue, he got really sick and had to go to the hospital. My parents were spending night and day at the hospital, and I was spending a lot of time alone and scared. I had a friend, Emily, who invited me to stay with her family and her while my brother was in the hospital for a few days. So I took her up on it. One day I realized that it wasn't that Emily's family was perfect, and it wasn't that Emily's family was better than any other family. It was that they believed in Jesus, and that was the source of their strength and the source of their peace. It wasn't just that Emily and her family believed in God, but they had a relationship with God. I believed in God, and yet I didn't have the same kind of connection with God that they had. And at first I didn't really understand, but I watched them and I realized that they brought their problems to God and they connected with Him. And I had grown up in the synagogue every week, going to temple and praying and believing in God, but I didn't have what they had. Emily and her family weren't Jewish, but I could tell that they had a relationship with my God. Growing up, I was taught that you can believe anything that you want to believe and still be Jewish, except believe in Jesus. And so when I decided that I did, I felt like, okay, I'm the only one, it's just me. And it felt kind of weird, but at the same time, I didn't care because I had this new relationship with God that made all the difference. Before, I used to use skating and the eating disorder as a way to help me deal with my problems, but I felt like Yeshua grabbed my hand and pulled me out of that tornado. And when I was with Him, I realized I wasn't alone anymore, and I didn't feel like I had to shoulder all of my own problems anymore. I had someone walking with me. I had someone who I was connected to. At first, when I told my parents, they were pretty hurt, understandably. My parents are amazing people. They raised my brother and I in a home filled with love and filled with laughter. From their perspective, they had seen me stay with this other family and then choose this other family's faith. I think they felt a little rejected, but I wasn't rejecting them. I loved them. I was choosing, making a personal decision to have a relationship with God that changed my life. I wasn't rejecting who I was or my heritage. Things were going really well. I had a strong relationship with God and wonderful friends. At the same time, there was this little thought in the back of my head that was bothering me, and it was the fact that I was ignoring my Jewish identity. But I really didn't know what to do about it, so I just kind of pushed it away and kept it in the back of my mind. One day, I decided that I had to talk to my pastor at the church about it. So I worked up the courage and went into his office. He may have already guessed about my Jewish background, but I told him, I'm Jewish and I don't know what to do about it. And I kind of expected for him to pat me on the back and say, okay, honey, you're not Jewish anymore, it's okay. But that's not at all what happened. He jumped up and down and got really excited and said, Mara, this is great. There are other people like you. And I didn't know it at the time, but he had just gotten back from a conference where he met other Jewish believers and heard that there was this movement of Jewish people all over the country, all over Israel, all over the world, where Jewish people believed in Yeshua. And he said to me, look, Mara, you're not alone. And he gave me a book and connected me with other Jewish believers. Today, I feel like a whole person. I feel like I'm able to have a relationship with Yeshua and also to live out my Jewish identity. It's not like I joined a new religion. I'm still fully Jewish. I still love celebrating Shabbat and singing the Dayenu, going to Israel, and even going to Auschwitz and meeting Holocaust survivors. It's just that now I have a relationship with Yeshua.